struck me. So it seems like there's one in every family that does the family tree. Like I have an aunt that is just fascinated with it.
Yep.
It's lovely. But then I thought, oh my gosh, what if we had a family tree? It would be perhaps a bit darker of a tree, and not necessarily so, but that just outlined, okay, these were their hot spots. These were their, could be really helpful.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I think, it's, your option is we like to tell patients, look, you can work hard and stay in prison, or you can work hard and go free.
Yeah.
But hard work
isn't
an option. You're going to work hard.
Yeah.
And, there is, we didn't talk about this that explicitly, but, there are reasons why people don't talk about these stories.
Yeah.
But it's not because they're forgettable.
Right.
Yeah, they're not forgettable.
No, they don't talk about them because they're too painful. They're too hard. Like they don't, like my mom wouldn't know what to do with, like, how does she talk about all that and survive?
Right.
And so it's tricky because there's the risk of like, okay, well, we're gonna talk about this with my, with my aunt or my grandmother or my this or that, and like suddenly you're like, you've opened a can of worms, and like, oh, this is why we're not talking about this.
Yeah.
For a while.
Right.
I probably shouldn't have made that request of people at the end.
No,
but cause a lot of problems.
Right. No, right. Yeah, right. But
It's
this
the
is
right
the thing,
kind
right?
of problem. It's the right kind of pain. Right?
Exactly.
I had when Nell was pregnant with Coleman, I had this book called Questions for My Father. And it was, I wrote, this was before internet and before email or anything. I wrote my dad a letter and I asked him a couple of questions about his childhood, a couple of things. And I said, I want to be able to give these to my son. I want him to know, It didn't go well.
What happened?
He got very angry at me for asking the questions.
Really?
They're hard, right? Because the answers.
And I picked easy questions,
answers.
knowing that he had difficulty.
Like what would be what might be an example of a question?
I think one of the questions may have been, give me one good childhood memory.
Ooh. And that was
too much.
Anger provoking.
Wow.
And so, and that's what makes me think maybe I should have told people to go and ask questions, but that in itself helped me to be even more aware of, and then to find out things in other ways. And,
right. Right. Because here's the thing, whatever that is that's within him, that he's not talking about.
Oh.
Showing up.
You are holding it in some way, shape, or form.
Uh-huh.
Now, you're not holding all that he's holding, but you're holding the part that has been passed to you.
Right.
And that's the thing. So you just said, right? You ask the question, he gets upset, you don't pursue it, but it leads you to do other things. And the movement that you have in exploring it, even if you're moving in a different, I'll try a different direction. Is different than sitting on it, because that's kind of just sitting on it is working and staying in prison.
Yeah. I
remember I was, I don't know if I think I've told you guys this before. I was, after the funeral of my last brother passed, we're sitting around having a conversation, and my sister-in-law, the widow of one of my other brothers who'd passed earlier, we start talking about my family in general. And she starts to talk about, she and my brother got married when I was like 5 or 6. I think I was 5. And she started to talk about things that she and my brother witnessed in my house with my parents parenting me. And she starts to talk about how she and my brother were like not happy about what they saw. And they were concerned not that my parents were were too harsh per se or abusive, nothing like that, but that they were so restrictive about everything that they did. Kind of like there's just no room for this kid to breathe. And I gotta tell you, I had two simultaneous reactions to this. One is like, oh my gosh, somebody is seeing me for the very first time. Like I wasn't crazy for having some experience of, but like I grew up in the house where my mother's anxiety, my father's like gonna make sure that nothing goes wrong. Like we're gonna make sure that this kid stays in his lane, whatever. And me being pretty compliant. Like yeah, there was a certain felt sense of being a bit oppressive, but you don't know that. I'm just I'm gonna be a good soldier. Like, no, that's just what it means to be obedient. Like you gotta, and my sister-in-law says this, and I had this immediate this wave of the relief of being seen. Like, oh, my distress wasn't about me. It wasn't just about me. And then I had the simultaneous thing of
where were you?
Where the hell has this been for the last 50 years of my life?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that whole notion of naming things that are true about a generation that I'm feeling, but it's not primarily, it didn't begin with me.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, and it's like the message, Kurt, that you received, closeness depends on me taking care of you.
Right.
It's gold if we're able to identify the messages we've received.
Yeah.
Because then I think, okay, then I have a choice. I can be so when I was a kid, we've talked about this before. I was always selling something soda and water to the construction
You still do.
workers.
You still do. Yeah, you still do with me and Pepper. It's always
pitching something.
Always pitching something.
But I grew up with, on both sides, people, aunts and uncles that had jobs that were very, they stayed in the job for 50 years. It was Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. It was very reliable and structured. No real, not risk, but yeah, it was pretty dependable. But I wanted to be doing these other things. But I started working for an insurance company, just like my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it's okay, the message I received was entrepreneurship is, and they're probably right, but is scary, is unreliable, it's not valued. And then when it clicked for me, okay, that's the message I received. Now I can choose to, there's arguments for both, having something dependable and whatever. But it's when we know what messages we received, it's gold.
Yeah. 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 And so I think that when people, so Pepper, I loved your recommendation. I think it's really important for people to be able to take those steps and do that. It can feel a little scary when you start to discover things, or when you start to have the conversation with somebody who then gets angry and you're not, I thought I was just asking, can you give me one good childhood memory?
Yeah. Whew.
Dang.
Okay. Give me a bad one.
Yeah. But in so doing, you do give yourself the opportunity to work in a liberated way and not working by staying in prison.
Yeah.
I think it's just really striking. It's striking the degree to which generational trauma affects us and evokes the symptoms in us that we carry, but of which we are unaware. And as such, I end up thinking, this is just what is it about me? Why am I anxious? Why am I this? Why am I that? Why am I working to make sure that, the other shoe doesn't drop? Why am I working to make sure that I am working really hard to make sure that I'm staying in your heart and mind and consciousness? Because the minute that I stop working to do that, you're going to leave the room and I'll disappear. I disappear. And it doesn't matter what you tell me. They're like, Kurt, that's ludicrous. No, it's not ludicrous. You might believe that's ludicrous, but you don't know. And what am I doing? I'm carrying my mother's gene code, because she really did have an experience in which you wake up and the aunt that you love is gone, and she's not coming back for 6 weeks.
Probably not even really sure when she's coming
No,
back.
right,
Or if
right.
she's coming back.
Right.
What else you got, Aim?
Well, I was thinking about Schoolhouse Rock, how a bill becomes a law.
Mm-hmm.
Because Kurt, when you were saying that the gene affects our reaction and responses to different things, it's like how this progression, just like what you were talking about now, like how do our parents' experiences, how it gets from there to us in this moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pep, could you put that video together?
Yeah, I'll work on that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just a bill, and I'm
Only
living here
a
on Capitol Hill.
Rhymes with tool.
Great Jack Sheldon. He was fantastic. That's another story for another time, but he was great.
Jack Sheldon. Never heard that name.
Jazz trumpeter, singer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. You're gonna take me down another road here, Amy. So
It's good.
you good?
Mm.
Good.
All right, everybody.